Hey, Coach Allison here. Thank you for joining us for this webinar, Your Biggest Job Search Mistake and How to Fix It. A little bit about me and the company. My name is Allison Farber. I'm the head coach of Affordable Career Consulting, which is a career coaching business to help active job seekers get better jobs faster. So today, your biggest mistake, I can pretty much guarantee you because I find this with just about every job seeker that I work with, is not anything on the technical side. So it's not anything to do with the format of your resume or what you're wearing to a job interview. It's actually much more about mindset. So let's go ahead and get into it. And I'm going to break the rule of webinars and I'm going to tell you right on page one what your biggest mistake is. And that is when you're talking about your job search and your candidacy, you're making it all about you. So that is the biggest mistake that I see with job seekers out there, is that their mindset is completely about them. And this is why it's harming you. So yes, your job search is personal, right? It's about your job, your career, your future, your finances, you. You're looking for your next right thing. But in a job search, job hunting is sales, and you are the product. So I hope that hits something and you're not going, blah, I hate sales, because it's true. There are people out there looking for a candidate, and they're basically putting out proposals saying, okay, I'm in the market. What do I have to choose to buy from? And that buying process is that they're giving you a salary, they're giving you benefits, things along those lines for the work that you can do. So they are shopping, you are the product. So your job as a candidate is to talk about yourself in a way that makes you attractive and desirable above other candidates so that you get the job. So the first thing to ask then is actually, do you really want them? Like, do you see yourself working there, honestly? And there's a couple of reasons for this, right? Candidates that are in a hard situation are typically desperate to get a job. So as a manager, HR, recruiters, those types of things, we have a very high EQ. We understand emotional intelligence. Our entire jobs are to guide and direct and influence other people. And so if you're not actually sincerely into it, actually sincerely wanting to work there, to do the job that you're applying for, things along those lines, we're going to be able to call you out on that BS. So it's one of those things that you are not passing our sniff test as being an authentic person, and you're probably doing yourself a little bit of a disservice. So whether or not you choose to really be invested in that job search, really invested in that career, that company, etc., is going to help us feel a little bit more comfortable with you. Some quick things of what we're looking for and what we're considering in the job seeking realm is, while you're looking at probably, can I do this job? Well, of course I can. That's why I'm applying, right? We're actually looking at a couple of different things. So in order, we're looking at your behavior. So are you going to be a great coworker, an employee? We're looking at how you're going to impact our culture at our company. So we have existing teams. We have other people you're going to be around. Are you going to bring them up and support them and enable them? Or are you going to bring them down? Company churn. So we make a significant investment in you, not only when we're hiring you and paying you, but in career development and a whole bunch of other things. So we want to make sure that you're going to be sticking around through the hard times and not just getting a job for the sake of getting a job and then moving on. And then the last thing is talent. Can you do the job that we need you to do? Or barring that, can you be taught to do the job that we need you to do? So honestly, with that criteria, what you're concerned about for the majority of your application is about 25% of what we're considering. So when we're looking at this, now that you have like, yes, I can do that versus I want to do that, you need to discover your niche. So your niche is something that you want to do. And it can be a couple of different things, that's okay. But really identifying why you want to do what you do. And this is probably nothing to related to money, right? So why do you want to work in the industry you want to work in the roles that you want to work in, for the companies that you want to work for? Why are some things more compelling for you than others? Because that authenticity matters. And that enablement, that empowerment that comes through, it's going to shine throughout your candidacy. So once you have some of those ideas of where you want to apply, the types of jobs you want to apply for, et cetera, write them down. We're going to go ahead and call this your target list. And the good news about creating a target list is once you identify industry, company, job role thereof, you usually can find other matches to help increase how many targets you have. So say you want to work in software as a marketing person and you want to do business to consumer, there are thousands of those. So then you can narrow it down to your city, find some duplicates, things along those lines, and really understand how to speak to that specifically. The goal with your target list is to learn about how they communicate. What are they interested in their industries? What are some of the criteria that they need from their employees that might be exclusive to those types of industries and companies? And really cater your language towards their needs and learning from what they're experiencing in the market. So the good news is you're not alone with this. You can figure out what they want because they're actually advertising what they want and what they need for a company. It's your job to listen. So at a very base level, the job listing is a great way to listen to what they're looking for. So they're going to repeat a couple things in that job listing a couple times because that's what's really important to them. So just like how you're going to repeat it back a couple of times, in your resume, you're going to pick up on the things that are really, really important to them. So even though you can do 50 million different things, they're only identifying 10, maybe less. And so you're going to go ahead and say, these are the things that I can do well, right? Their careers page, that's going to talk about their culture. That's going to talk about their company. That's going to talk about their vision. That is their advertisement to attract you. And so you can go ahead and say, yes, I align with this. This is making me excited to work here. I want to work for a great team who's involved, invested, proud, etc. Their social media channels, so customer stories and highlights, things that they like, any other press releases or marketing things that they do. You can see really what type of content they put out there and where their focus is. Are they advertising a lot? Are they talking about their customers a lot? Do they have a new product that they're pushing? You can get a lot of insight from doing some research here. If you have the ability to talk to some of their employees, if you can get networked in, do some research that way, that's a great way to get some word of mouth and really to hear it from the source of what it's like to work there. And the last thing is publications. So if they have a blog, what do they write about? Who are they targeting? What's their niche? What are the type of customers that they serve? Same with if they have videos posted or things along those lines. You'd be surprised what you can learn about a company when you're looking at through a lens of how they're communicating outside. And that can really help get you in the mindset of them on how to reach their customers. So now we've learned how to talk to them, right? So we've learned that we need to cater our language and we need to understand what they're interested in and speak there. I apologize, my dog is starting to snore. He's my office dog. So now we need to go ahead and be specific when talking about ourselves. So now we come back into the conversation. Yay! But the problem is that when we are focusing on a job that we can do, a lot of times we just want to word vomit, right? We want to get out as much as possible and really try to paint and highlight the picture that we are the best candidate for the position. The problem is when we do this, we end up speaking a little bit more generally. And although you might say, look at the investment that you're getting from me, I can do everything, I can fix everything, I'm a superstar. What really gets communicated across is that you don't really know what you're doing or you're not terribly focused. the rule of thumb is that during the interview process and during the resume process, you don't have enough time to talk about all of your skills. And let's think about this for a minute. When we think about our skills, it's not only, on the job description what we know, right? We have years, sometimes decades of experience in different fields. You probably know everything from the technical, bits and bobs of your job to the computer systems that you operate, to how to operate the punch clock, to, all the way down to your first job. I know my first job, I had to make fried chicken in a commercial fryer. That's a transferable skill, but I'm not going to put it on my resume. So we have to be selective in what we choose to talk about so that it resonates with all of that research that we did before. So that's when you're being specific, that really kind of helps narrow the lens. And if it's not completely like mind-numbingly clear what you're trying to get across, it's not clear enough. So we're going to focus on your best features too. So we're going to be specific to what you can bring to the table, and we're going to prioritize the best stuff first. For people who are in the resume writing part, usually this is your skills at the top, and then it's going to be your experience, because skills is literally just a checklist saying, yep, I got everything that you're looking for in the job experience, and that's going to pass the snuff test in order to get the person to read your experience. If you're a student, then you're probably going to go ahead and put some of your relevant classwork at the top, and then your education, because we want to show that you have background doing the job, even if it's not paid or compensated, and then also that you have the educational background to help support that argument as well. And so we're going to go ahead and switch this out depending on what category is best for us. And when we're writing experience, there's probably things that you excel at. And so we want to put those at the top as well when you're listing your experience. Achievements you had, processes you invented or improved, specific experiences that translate directly from one job to the other, transferable skills. So if you know how to answer a phone here, you know how to answer a phone here. That still works. You want to highlight and enhance the argument that you have that best supports why you should get the job, then the second best argument, third best argument, fourth best argument. You're going to repeat this the same every single time in different aspects of your resume, interview, follow-up emails, everything else. You're creating a story, a through line, if you will, of I am the candidate who does this. I am the candidate who can give you that. That way we can be very, very specific, very targeted, talking their language, and being able to really phrase this the right way. One note here is that if you're applying for different jobs, you discover different niches that you would like to pursue, you have to create a resume for each one. So that's something that people tend to skip, and it doesn't help. So having a different resume that's catered to each industry, each job type, definitely. So if you have different jobs in the same industry, different industries for the same job or a mix thereof, you need different types of resumes. And then for each job application at a specific company, you need to tweak it a little bit still in order to make sure that it's speaking very specifically to that audience. Okay. And then the last thing here is that when we're talking about our experiences, our background, making those arguments for why we want the job, everything else, hey, I'm highly skilled, you should hire me, woohoo! We have to be careful in how we talk about our experiences because we don't want to talk about our ex. So yeah, you've had jobs before. You've needed to show your experience. However, you are not talking about that job or that experience for the same kind of audience that you had it gained from. So, for instance, if I worked at a competitor or something and I had to do this process, it's much less interesting to me as an employer, and actually it's a little bit of a turnoff, if I hear about the exact specific situation that you were in which you had to do the process. The thing that's more important to me is that, yes, I have experience doing this process, and here's how I went about it, here's why I did what I did, here's what I thought about, here's who I communicated with, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of people, when they're talking about their experience and things like that, they focus too much on the history and they stop talking about the possibility. And so that's where you really need to shift your focus, is talking about the future, talking about the possibility, the impacts, the process that you did, in a way that I'm going to be receptive to it as your potential future opportunity. So when we're writing experiences, I often refer to this as writing in a what, why, results, or what, why, how format. What you did, why you did it, what the results were, right? What you did, why you did it, how you went about it. Because the what isn't so important. The history isn't so important. We just want to know the project, the process, the accomplishment, and the impact on the company. So that's really where we want to focus, because that starts opening up that conversation for the future. So in conclusion here, the biggest mistake that you're making in your job search is that it's all about you. And thinking about the language and changing the mindset so that it's not about you, your past, your experiences, your goals and opportunities, but really changing it around to it being about the company, about the opportunities, about the future that you can craft together is really where it's going to be at. And to help you get there, you have to do the research to get into the mindset of your potential buyer. So you really have to start speaking their language, cultivating yourself so that you can be the most visible candidate that they can see sitting in the chair in that office. So I know you can do it. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, you can go ahead and shoot me an email at coach@affordablecareerconsulting.com. And you can also check out our website for a lot more resources and things to get you on your way. You can do this.